Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to episode 3 of Ride Rehab. Today we're going to be removing the airbox on this bike to install new spark plugs, bypass the pair valve, and do a block off. We're also going to de-snorkel the airbox and install a new air filter. So if you're interested in learning how to do that, stay tuned. If you're new to the channel or the series, please hit that like and subscribe button. You don't want to miss what's coming up next. Before we get into taking the airbox off and doing all that work, let me show you what I did leading up to all these parts coming in. Now, as you see, the tank is now black. I completely stripped this thing down and got rid of all the little divots and dents in the tank. I started on this one side, took it down to bare metal, used body filler, patched it in, sanded it down, long even strokes to kind of blend in with the existing body lines of the tank. And after about 2 or 3 different applications, I put it on one time and didn't put enough body filler on there to give me a nice feather to make everything smooth. I could still see a slight indentation, so I sanded it back down again and recoated. But on about my 3rd attempt, I think I did fairly well. And then I didn't get any video of me actually spraying because I didn't want to get any overspray on my camera lenses. So check it out. But as you can see, everything's starting to finally take shape. Let's pull this tank back off, get under the airbox, and replace these plugs and do the block off. Okay, first thing we got to do, we're going to take our airflow sensors off. Got one on the side here, one on the top. We're just simply going to unplug those. This one toward the front, we're actually going to be eliminating this one during the block off plate install. Now, I had someone ask me the other day what a terminal screwdriver was. Somebody left a comment. Terminal screwdriver. This is basically designed for electrical terminations inside of control cabinets. You also hear it called a micro screwdriver. I have a whole variety of these. This is your standard terminal size, and that's what that is. These are made by Klein Tools. You can get them by WIA or many different manufacturers, Stanley. Pretty common, very handy to have in many different situations, especially for pressing in the little tabs on these older connectors that have never been taken off or dry and brittle. Yeah, this one looks like it's just, there we go. Just need a little persuasion. Okay, to remove the air box, there are 4 bolts down in here. We'll get some rags to stuff in those throttle body openings real quick. That way we don't accidentally drop trash down in there. That would be damn near catastrophic. And you can probably hear the wind blowing outside. It was literally like 80 degrees almost, like 77 degrees on Saturday, and now it's freaking snowing outside. It's 33 degrees and snowing. Tomorrow's going to be back up into the 60s, and then again on Wednesday, it's going to be almost 80 again. It's nuts. This is one of the craziest winter / spring that I can remember in a long time. I mean, I know we've gotten snow late in the year before, but this is ridiculous. All right, so that's basically what I did. I stuffed rags into the 2 throttle body openings, and there's 4 of those little screws. 1, 2, 3, and 4. If you can see, the rag's partly blocking. But we're going to remove those 4 screws, and then that'll allow us to lift the entire airbox off this thing. Give her a shot and see here. Yep, 5mm. So I've got a lot of parts and pieces finally starting to show up, and I'm glad for it. I've been tracking down different parts in different places. Got some really cool stuff coming up. Just waiting for all the little odds and ends to get here. Okay. Take this off. There you go. You have a drain line for the oil, the breather tube off of the, I believe, gearbox. I believe that's what that's coming off of. Well, someone was definitely running ethanol fuel. You can see the tarnishing down in there. I don't know how well the light's gonna allow you to see, but there's just a little bit of like a yellowish cloudy patina going down through there. And that's basically what ethanol buildup looks like. All right, we are going to pull the, there you go, there's the pair valve. Bye-bye, little pair valve. Put my rags back in my throttle body again. Okay, on the left, cylinder 1, on the right, cylinder 2, and they actually have it marked here. There's little arrows that say 1 and 2. The top part is your actual plug, igniter, ignition stick. You'll hear it called different things. So we're going to unplug those, and they actually have a number 1 on the number 1 plug. So if yours are not marked, change them one at a time. You don't want to get them mixed up, or your bike's going to run really poorly. Press down firmly and unplug. Since mine are marked, we are going to remove both. And also, if you plan on doing any dyno tuning, now is the time to very gently splice your wire open and be able to get a clamp on either one of these wires. I'm fairly happy with that, and that seems to be around an 8mm. And because we have all the fairings and everything off, I can pretty much get to this thing from about any angle, and it makes it really easy. Otherwise, I would have to break out the small 1/4" drive ratchet and all that good stuff, and well, I just don't want to do that right now. And then we're just going to maybe tap, oh, there it is, And the reeds are dirty as hell. Oh my goodness, that's like crazy dirty. These reeds, what they do, they allow engine air to get sucked down in. When you let off the throttle, these reeds actuate and the pair valve opens and it allows air to be sucked in to make the exhaust hotter to get a better burn. And this is what causes the dynos to not get a good reading, the sniffers or the O2 sensor, whatever you're using. If you have this air injection system still hooked up, you're not getting good AFR readings when you dyno. Okay, now if you see the reeds pop out just like that, and these have to go back into the block off kit. Okay, now it's important that when you put this on, everything goes back in the correct way. The reeds go down like this, bloop, and they face with the curve on the lower part. All right, so that goes in. Then the driven cover plate goes on. And I'm just kind of hand tightening this now. I'm not really going to worry about torque. Just needs sealed up. And they just pull out. Ignition coil. 2. Just looking down in there to make sure that everything looks good. The last part of our block off plate, and that is to trick the ECU that the pairing valve is going to still be hooked up and present. Now how do we do that? Well, we put a resistor on the circuit, and if you ohm out the motor on the pairing valve, you're going to get 20 to 25 ohms. 22 ohms is normally what most people are going to come up with. Now, if you throw a 22 ohm resistor on here, that thing is going to pull a ridiculous amount of current, which is going to be about 6.5 watts or so. Now, a 6.5 watt is going to be one of those big brick-looking resistors. Okay, it's going to be a ceramic sand-based, crazy-ass large resistor. Not worth keeping. I mean, you'd be better off just plugging the motor in and letting it sit here do nothing. So what we can do is put a small 1/4 watt to 1/2 watt resistor in here. Normally what I do is around a 500 ohm 1/2 watt resistor. 470 ohm 1/2 watt. All right, so now we're going to take this and we're just going to double our little resistor right over. Make the leads long, and these leads will like pretty much stick all the freaking way down in there. So we can trim them a little bit if we want, but you'll see where the tabs are and you'll feel pressure on it. Just push it in. Push it, push it. Okay, now it's going to get to a point where it won't go in anymore and it's going to start to loop over. When you do that, so when you just want to kind of bend it over, just like so, and then I'm going to take some really, really good electrical tape. This is Scotch Super 33 Plus. Staple in every electrician's toolbox. If you ever hire an electrician and he's not using Scotch 33, tell him to leave. And this is just going to secure it, keep it from vibrating out. It's not doing anything to protect from heat, or we have plenty of heat dissipation on this resistor. There. I got one across and then a wrap around. And there we are. And if we ever want to put the air injection system back on, we can just pop that bad boy right out and go about our own business. So now what I'll do with this is tuck it somewhere right there. Oh, ain't that pretty? Here, perfect fit. Yeah. Yeah. I think I got it. Here, look at that. Yeah, she was different plugs. Alright, there you go. Old plug, new plug. So cylinder 2. Okay, let's put these back in. Now these plugs are already checked and gapped. Okay. The last thing you want is to get a frickin' plug frickin' cross-threaded. Now the ratchet part of this thing is foobar, so I have to just okay. Well, that worked out wonderful. Let's see if we can get this one. And oh, it fell. It's alright. Ew, he about fell back in again. Dang. Cylinder 1. I mean, they're running a little hot, but the color's good. The color's actually good on the plugs, so that's a good sign. Oh yes, and I've also got a new reservoir coolant tank on the way. I found a hairline crack in this one. I've actually already ordered it and received it, but unfortunately they sent me the wrong tank. Of course, the way Kawasaki does their part numbers, you know, I can't really blame them. It was an honest mistake. It was like one number different. They were all the same numbers, just, you know, slightly different. I'm like, guys, you know, well, can't really fault you for that, because I can see how. And with plugs, guys, you do not want to over tighten them. You do not want to put them in on a hot engine, because you can very easily cross thread or strip aluminum out when it is hot. So do not change plugs on the bike. And that's that. Now we're ready to put our ignition coils back down in there and hook those up. I just want to put a little something on that boot. Just a real light glazing to let that thing slide down in a little better. You'll hear it snap on, firmly pressed down. And we'll take the next one, we'll do the same thing, just put just a tiny little bit, just a little glazing of oil, just to make it seat in a little better, slide on in. See, it's not a whole lot, just a tiny little bit. And you want your coils to turn in just slightly here. There's little arrows to line them up. That's because you only have so much slack on these things. Now, if it wasn't marked before, make sure you did mark it. This one has a number 1 on it. This one's not marked at all, which is pretty obvious that it is number 2. We're going to plug 2, firm click, then number 1. And we're going to put our cable into the holder there and bend it back over. And there we go. So with the airbox, I'm just going to use a regular old cleaner, non-corrosive, non-flammable, just anything you've got laying around. just to knock the dust off and get everything good and clean. And I'm gonna go ahead and pop the filter out and de-snorkel this. So what I'm gonna do is take this flathead screwdriver and just pop these snorkel tubes out. And this is a reversible modification. A lot of people say it's unnecessary. Some people say it does nothing other than give you a little intake growl. And most likely it's probably just going to make it sound a lot like the Z650 does, because there are no snorkel tubes on it, but it is a ram air. It's one large opening. It's very smooth transition straight into the filter, down into the throttle body. Now we do not want to mess with these risers. Those are very important to leave. Now don't forget the oil drain hose here. We have to route this down. Alright, so now the air box is on, breather hose is connected, the oil drain tube is kicked off to the side here, down by the crankcase where it belongs. We're putting the 4 airbox screws back in. Still have the towels stuffed down the throttle tubes so we don't drop anything in them. We have this plugged in. Our other one was deleted. That was the pairing valve. We put the resistor in. I bought the same thing that was in it. This is the Bike Master. This is an aftermarket filter. And this one is absolutely filthy. So we're just going to throw it over there. Kind of like this one a little better. It doesn't have that nasty styrofoam. It's a very snug fit. So now we're going to pull the rags out of our throttle bodies and cap this sucker off. Make sure you've got your vacuum cap on from the Eliminator kit. And again, people, I know some of you are going to say you could just buy one of those caps and put it on down at the bottom. Yes, you could. But it doesn't look near as nice. Well, there we go, folks. Everything is back together and we're getting really close to being able to throw the tank back on, put a little fuel in it, and actually start the bike. So that should be happening here really soon, hopefully in the next week or so. I really want to go ahead and get the tank painted and finished before I put any fuel to it, because it's all clean and dry right now. So what will probably happen while we're waiting on a few more parts, I'm probably going to mask the frame off and take these little rubber bushings off for the tank, and we're going to go in and smooth the frame up on this side where it got laid over and was scratched. And there may be a few, yeah, there is a few here. I'm going to show you guys how to smooth up the metal to make it a nice, clean transition and paint repair. So if you want to see how to do that, just like I did with the fuel tank, make sure you hit like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Ride safe.